In today's talk, as a first talk of the event, I'd like to give a brief overview of the marine life of India, and then we will be listening from all the other speakers from the different states and the coastal states and the Union territories. So, in my talk, I will be focusing on five major points. One is that to look into the evolution of the marine organism, then to look into the marine biodiversity from the Indian perspective. Then we will look into the key marine ecosystems of India. What are the marine protected areas in our country, and then briefly about the major threats. If we look into the evolution of the marine organism, so let us start from where it all started. So basically the formation of the earth, that is close to 5 billion years before, right? For one and a half billion years, there was no life on the planet. So earth was still forming in the process of the formation. And then somewhere close to 3.5 to 3.4 billion years ago, there was the origin of the life. Of course, there are multiple theories behind it. I'm not going to talk about that. But then the origin of the life happened, and then the photosynthetic bacteria evolved somewhere 3.5 billion years before. That gave rise to most of the life form which we are seeing in the present world, right? However, if we look into the chronological order, then close to 2 billion years ago, eukaryotic cell originated, and then that gave rise to again various different multicellular organisms which we are seeing. Close to 1.2 billion year ago, the multicellularity evolved in the form of the red algae, and then that has given the lineage of the various different algae which we are seeing now. Almost in the same time, sexual reproduction started, that increased the rate of the evolution, and somewhere around 1000 to 750 million year ago, first protozoa cells originated. Then there was a time between 750 to 750 million year ago, which is called as the snowball Earth, when the Earth was submerged in the snow or surrounded completely by the snow. What happened inside? It's a mystery. It's a very difficult to crack down. But then when the Earth melted, we know that there was an explosion. There was a Cambrian explosion, and we could see a whole lot of biodiverse multicellular life in a very, very humongous way, right? So I was looking into various different databases, looking into various different literatures, tools like Time Tree of Life, websites, or the databases like Sea Life, Worms, Tree of Life web projects, and then I have tried to see that when and how the marine phylum would have originated in the on the planet. So if you look, then of course the graph looks, I mean the image looks little bit messy, but then overall there are 5 points here. One is that algae might have originated close to 1000 million year ago, or we have already seen that red algae have originated close to 1.2 billion years ago. Most of the animal phyla which we are seeing in the present marine environment have originated somewhere between 750 to 500 million years ago. Some of the recent phyla are also there. For example, rotifers, acanthocephala, which has the origination somewhere between 50 to 100 million year ago. And then we have the seagrasses, for example, which has went back into the sea from the land plant, and one of the rare case where the organism have went from the land to the sea is very, very recent in the geological time scale, somewhere around 100 million year ago, right? So this is about how the marine phylum might have originated in the geological time scale. So what is the situation now? If we look, the data which is assessed yesterday from the WORMS database, that is a World Register of Marine Species database, I could see that in the kingdom Animalia, there are close to 31 phylum which are present in the marine environment. And then if we look into the abundance or the abundance of the species, Arthropoda is having the highest number of the species, close to 60,000, followed by mollusca, Then we have chordata, that is close to 24,000 species. Then we have cnidarians, close to 13,000 species. Then platyhelminths, again around 30,000 species. Annelida, close to 14,000 species. Porifera, close to 9,500 species. So these 10 phylum is comprising with majority of the life forms which we are seeing in the marine environment, followed by other phylas represented with tens and hundreds of the species. Similarly, if we look into the kingdom Chromista, we can see that the phylum Foraminifera is being represented by more or less 8,800 species, followed by Myxozoa, Celiophora, Ochrophyta, Heterocontophyta, right? So these are some of the dominant Chromista which is present in the marine environment. Similarly, if we look into the other kingdom, for example, protozoans, we have which is being represented by the phylum Euglenozoa, more than 325 species, followed by the other phylums. In the kingdom fungi, we can see the division Ascomycotota is having highest number of the marine fungi. Then we look into the kingdom Plantae, and then we can see that the red algae or the Rhodophyta is being represented by more than 7,648 species, followed by the members of the other algae or the other plants in Chlorophyta and Trichophyta, right? So these are some of the general understanding of the marine phyla which are present in the world's ocean. If we look into the discovery rate, we can see that the data which is assessed yesterday from the WOMS database shows that close to 2,47,368 accepted marine species are reported from the world ocean, and then 627 intent for this year. More or less, if we look into the graph here, close to 1,500 to 2,000 new accepted species is being reported every year from the world ocean. Now, this is the story when we talk about the world ocean. What is the situation or what is the current scenario if we look from the Indian perspective? I am sure that all of us who are keeping an eye on the marine environment or who are involved somehow in the marine research knows that a very recent circular from the government has shown that there is an increase in the total coastline of the India, especially in the peninsular region, right? From 7,516 kilometer distributed among the 13 states and the coastal states and the union territories to close to 11,098 kilometer, which is a rise in close to 47% of the coastline, right? And it is having an exclusive economic zone of close to 2.37 million square kilometer. And if we look into the peninsular India, we can see that the marine life or the marine environment is divided into in Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, and the down south we have the open Indian Ocean, right? So this is a general structure or general geological structure if we talk about the Indian environment, right? Time and again, researchers have tried to understand that how many different marine organisms are living or how many different phylum or the species are living in the Indian exclusive economic zone, right? Of course, there are multiple papers on a specific taxa, multiple papers on a specific groups, but then we can see in 2005, some of the reference I am giving you, again, it's not a very exhaustive reference, but then some of the reference which says that Venkatraman and the Waffer in 2005 estimated that close to 13,000 species, marine species, are living in the Indian waters, right? The number remains same in the report. If we look from the Venkatraman, Raghunathan, Raghuraman and the Siraj from the Zoological Survey of India, even in 2012, which remained around 13,000 species. Another paper, if we look into the Waffer et al. 2011, has found or has said that close to 15,000 species are present in the Indian Ocean. Again, we have to remember this paper has also included the not only the northern Indian Ocean diversity or in the Indian exclusive economic zone, but also the other parts of the Indian Ocean. So overall, close to 15,000 species were reported, and largely those species were reported from the Indian waters. Again, in 2019, by the researchers from Zoological Survey of India, led by Raghunathan, has published a report saying that close to 18,135 species are reported from the Indian water. And if you look in terms of percentage, it comprises close to 7% of the global 2,47,129 species reported at that time, right? After the completion of 100 years of Zoological Survey of India, they have again released a meeting report in the current science, wherein the researchers have again said that close to 20,444 faunal species are present in the Indian water, and the number remains same when the annual report of 2022-23 was published by the Zoological Survey of India, that is 20,444 faunal species. So after looking into all those previous literatures, what I did yesterday was trying to see that how do we get the rough estimate, we could say, rough estimate of the marine phylum or the marine species present in the Indian waters. Majority of these papers have taken OB's database into the account, as well as some of the primary and the secondary literature. So yesterday I have again gone back and looked into the Ocean Biodiversity Information System database and then sorted the data based on the Indian exclusive economic zone, and then removed all the non-marine intrant and other variables which after which I came across a certain number of the species in the different kingdom. And then after sorting it out, you can see that close to 15,594 species have been reported from the Indian exclusive economic zone in the marine species. And that comprises of, you can see, one species of the Amebiozoa phylum in Protozoa kingdom, 334 Rhodophyta, 149 Chlorophyta, and 43 Trichophyta in the kingdom Plantae, followed by, if we look into the kingdom Chromista, again the dominance of Foraminifera followed by Heterocontophyta with the 678 and 443 number of this species. In the fungi, Ascomycota is dominant with 108 species. And then if we look into the kingdom, Animalia, the majority of the reported species is belonging to the phylum Chordata, followed by Arthropoda, Mollusca, Cnidarians, Annelida, right? So overall, till yesterday, according to the OBIS database, in the Indian exclusive economic zone, we can see a report of close to 15,594 species. So I am not going into details showing all the species, how does it look, its morphological features, and so on. But then, of course, we have a lot of very, very excellent databases, which is being maintained by various different marine researchers across the country. One such example, again, I am saying you, this is not the exhaustive list. This is one such example wherein if you are interested, you can be able to go and check that what sort of marine organisms or are living in our Indian waters, as well as how does it look. So there are many underwater images and images of the marine plants and the animals are given here. So this is one particular database which is maintained by the, I think, WCS India. It's bluemapindia.org, and you can see that if you click on those small and large marine organism, you can click on those, and then you can be able to see the morphological diversity and morphological features of each and every species on those databases. So you can see number of species are there. So I haven't put the any images or photographs of those marine organisms. I'm just showing you this. If you're interested, go back and have a look into it. So where those marine organisms are living in the Indian waters. So like in any other location, we also have major marine ecosystem. For example, we have coral reefs, we have mangroves, we have estuaries and lagoons, we have sandy and the rocky shores, we have open ocean and the deep sea habitats in different parts of the country, and it all supports huge marine biodiversity. So if we look into the coral reefs, we can see in the map here that majority of the coral reef in our country is located on these 6-7 locations, starting from Gulf of Kutch in the west, northwest India, then in Malwan region, in Lakshadweep, in Gulf of Mannar and Pak Bay, and then in the Andaman and Nicobar groups of island. And here you can see some of the images of the coral, which is taken either in the Lakshadweep or in the Pak Bay. So overall, close to 589 hard coral species are reported from the country, majority of which is reported from Andaman and Nicobar, that is 526. Then we have in the Lakshadweep Island, close to 167 hard coral species. Then in Gulf of Mannar, 168, Gulf of Kutch, 78 species. If we look into the coral reef of the country, we have all sorts of different reef present. For example, fringing and barrier reefs are found in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Fringing reefs are also present in the Gulf of Mannar and Pak Bay. Atolls are present in Lakshadweep archipelago. Then we have platform reefs, mainly in the Malwan and the Gulf of Kutch region. So various different type of the reefs supporting huge biodiversity are located in these 6-7 major locations in our country. Another important habitat forming species in the marine environment is the seagrass bed. You can see the seagrass beds are available almost in all the states and the union territories, coastal states and the coastal union territories. But in some of the area, the diversity is high. For example, if we look into the Tamil Nadu, in the Gulf of Mannar and the Pak Bay area, we have more or less 13-14 species of the seagrasses, which are very, very rare across the world, because in major part of the world, in most of the sea, hardly 2, 3, 4 species are available, except in some of the tropical countries and tropical waters in Africa and few other locations. Most of the geographical locations where seagrass is there is dominated by a single or 2 or 3 species. But in our country, we have several locations where the presence of more than 10 species are reported simultaneously within few, I would say, kilometers. So you can see in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Lakshadweep, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Andaman Nicobar Island, most of the places we have the seagrass beds. One unfortunate thing about the seagrass is the research is very, very less if we compare it with other Western countries or other marine research happening across the world. And very, very there are many seagrass beds in various different locations which is not yet reported, which is not yet studied. So such kind of biasness is there only to a few certain locations where researchers are going and studying again and again. However, we can say that very recently we have seen Pranav with his team has found seagrass meadow in the coastal Andhra Pradesh. So now people are becoming more and more aware. And Pranav, I think he's also going to talk to you about this after 1 or 2 talks. We have seen the seagrass beds. Vipin also started working on the seagrass and recently found, using the integrative taxonomy, the presence of the seagrass Rupia brevipedunculatum. So now we've been working on the taxonomy using the integrative approach on the seagrasses of India. So hopefully that the seagrass research will also start happening at a faster pace in our country. If we look into the mangrove forest, mangroves are again sustaining or holding a huge marine biodiversity in our country. We have the largest mangrove forest, that is in Sundarbans in West Bengal. And there, if we look, there are 33 different species of the mangroves are present. Similarly, in the Bhitarkanika in Orissa, we have 34 species of the mangroves present in one particular forest. Followed by, if we look into the for example, in the Andaman and Nicobar Island, we have 38 species. In the mainland, again, if we see in the Kerala, we have 19 species. Maharashtra, we have 22 species. Tamil Nadu, we have 17 species. In Pondicherry, we have 15 species. So a huge biodiversity of the mangrove trees are there in the mangrove forest. And these trees are supporting, again, supporting a huge marine biodiversity in all those areas. Marine lagoons, which is often neglected when we talk about the marine ecosystem and the marine important marine and the coastal areas, plays an important role in supporting the marine and the coastal organisms. In the east and the west coast, we can see a huge number of the lagoons. Lagoons are there, which is supporting the marine and the coastal biodiversity. For example, we have Chilika Lake in Odisha, which is the largest saltwater, brackish saltwater lake in the country. Followed by we have Pulicat again in the east coast of India, and then in the west coast, especially in the Kerala, a number of the backwaters are there, which is supporting a very good amount of biodiversity in those lagoons. If we look, then of course, Gahirmata Beach and the Marine Sanctuary deserves a special appreciation, because this is one of the location where, or we can say it's a lone mass nesting spot in the Indian Ocean, especially for the olive redlet turtle, where the turtles travel across the South Pacific to breed on the coast of the Gahirmata, and especially in the month of the January and February and somewhat in March, you can get you can see lakhs and lakhs of turtles coming to nest at the same time on a small stretch of the beach. So that is again a very unique feature of the Indian coastline. If we look into the key biodiversity area, which is defined as the most incredible and the diverse place on the earth for nature, and these are the site of the global importance to the planet's overall health and the persistence of biodiversity, which is being maintained at a website called as World Resources for the Key Biodiversity Area. I remember, if I remember well, and you can see that there are 641 sites in India listed as a key biodiversity area in our country. However, if you filter with the habitat of the marine, you can be able to see that only 42 marine or the terrestrial areas are available, covering a total of close to 1,92,000, approximately 1,92,000 square kilometers. And some of the key biodiversity area includes Pulicat Lake, includes which is now a Dugong Conservation Area in the Park Bay, Chilika Lake, and few other locations in the peninsular as well as in the islands of India. Besides, we also have important coastal and marine biodiversity area designated or prioritized by the Wildlife Institute of India. That is close to 106 coastal and the marine sites. More information, if you're interested, you can be able to see in the INVIS database the name of all those 106 coastal and the marine sites of the biodiversity, of the importance of the biodiversity is listed there. Besides, we have 132 protected areas covering 26 in the peninsular India, 102 in the Andaman and Nicobar groups of island, and 4 in Lakshadweep. We have a few marine national park, such as in Gulf of Kutch in Gujarat. We have Gulf of Mannar, we have Sundarbans, Bhitarkanika, and then a few others in Andaman and Nicobar groups of island. We also have 2 marine biosphere reserve. One is Gulf of Mannar, which is in Tamil Nadu, and the second one is in Sundarbans, which is in West Bengal. If we see the Gulf of Mannar, it is also considered as the biological paradise because it hosts more than 3,600 species of the flora and the fauna. Many of these islands are uninhabited and then are protected, conserved in order to maintain the biodiversity in this region. Similarly, if we look into the Sundarban Biosphere Reserve, which I am sure Anvesha in the next talk is going to talk more about it. But then if we look, it is again one of the most unique and rare marine biosphere reserve in the country, which is having top predators like Royal Bengal tigers. We have the saltwater crocodiles, and then it hosts and supports huge marine biodiversity in the mangrove forest. The conditions or the situation of the reserve areas in the last 5 years is being somewhat improving, because we can see number of the locations, number of the sites across the country and in the island, I mean Peninsular India and the island, is being announced as a conserved sites. For example, Lakshadweep administration has announced the creation of the world first conservation area for endangered sea cucumber. That is not very new. That happened in 2020. Certain area of the Cheriapani island is being designated as a KK Muhammad Koya Sea Cucumber Conservation Region. Similarly, in the PT Archipelago, we have Atakoya Tangal Marine Conserve Research. And then we have also marine bird protected areas, which is PM Sayyid Marine Bird Conservation Reserve. And then also with the number, I mean, with the number of the researchers working in toward the marine conservation, Maharashtra gave the note to declare 2011 square kilometer of Angria Bank as the protected area. Though I think the central approval is awaited for this particular thing. But then India's first Dugong Conservation Reserve has came into existence in Park Bay in the coastal Tamil Nadu, wherein the special area is designated to protect the sea cow, or we can say dugong and its habitat. I think Prachi will be talking more about the dugong conservation. I don't know in Park Bay or in Gujarat, but maybe both. Having said all the good and the beautiful thing about the marine biodiversity in India, the Indian marine species are also facing the global challenge. I mean, what global species are facing, that is a threat because of the overfishing, because of very recently we have seen last week the oil spill and the cargo which got capsized off the coast of Kerala, that caused a huge biodiversity loss. Then we have the ghost net, for example. It's a major problem. We have plastic pollution. We have various different anthropogenic activity because of which climate change is happening, and overall, directly or indirectly, is threatening the marine life of our country. So, on this note, I would request that we all have to protect the marine environment in order to sustain the earth, if not for the marine organism, at least for us, because if the marine environment is not sustained and if is not healthy, it is definitely going to impact the across the different life forms. So with that, I would conclude my talk. Thank you. I'm open to any questions if you have any.